Next on the news.
Just stay away, stay away.
The Boulder attack, now a federal hate crime, raising alarms around the country as police increase patrols at houses of worship. This weekend was all about families during Jubilee celebrations across the globe. Pope Leo XIV and Bishop Robert Brennan encouraging Catholics to keep passing on the faith to the next generation. Plus, some students from Queens bring the Disney magic to life, performing some classics and even modern hits at a special show. I'm Christine Persichetti. Currents News starts right now. The FBI is calling it a targeted terror attack. A man in Boulder, Colorado, has been charged with a hate crime after he threw a makeshift flamethrower into a group of people who were calling for the Israeli hostages in Gaza to be released. As a result, police all over the country and here in New York City are increasing patrols. Meanwhile, prayers are pouring in, starting with the Bishop of Brooklyn, who's urging unity and peace. What's normally a space for community,
expecting busy day because it's weekend, people get out to go restaurants,
was roped off by crime scene tape on Sunday.
So never happens here, basically.
Those who saw what happened at Pearl Street Mall in Boulder, Colorado,
we saw a couple of victims getting wheeled to an ambulance.
Were in a state of shock.
It is clear that this is a targeted act of violence, and the FBI is investigating this as an act of terrorism.
Just before 1:30 on Sunday afternoon, calls came in to Boulder police saying there was a man with a weapon and people were being set on fire. In total, there are 8 victims. 2 of them were taken to a burn unit in Aurora, one of them with very serious injuries.
Witnesses are reporting that the subject used a makeshift flamethrower and threw an incendiary device into the crowd.
The attack happened at a regularly scheduled weekly event called Run for Their Lives.
I have done it, and so I understand what it is. And people have been saying it's a protest or it's this and that, and it's really not. It's a very peaceful walk to bring awareness to the hostages that are still not home.
The suspect was heard to yell, "Free Palestine," during the attack.
The suspect, who's now in custody, is 45-year-old Mohammed Solomon.
People want to know who got hurt, who did this. Is there some other problem? Is there something else that might happen? And so everybody's on edge.
Meanwhile, police across the country, including in New York, are increasing security at houses of worship. Diocese of Brooklyn Bishop Robert Brennan issued this statement on Monday, saying the heinous anti-Semitic attack that injured 8 people yesterday in Boulder, Colorado, showed a complete disregard for human life. Let us continue to pray that the days of senseless killings will soon be replaced by a time of peace. While Boulder waits on answers,
Any attempt to divide us through fear or harm has no place in Boulder, in Colorado, or anywhere in our nation.
There's no denying it's a place that knows how to come together.
All I know is Boulder has recovered before from acts of violence, and we will again recover.
Information is still coming out about those injured. They include 4 men and 4 women aged between 52 and 88. Catholics across the country are lending their support to them. Archbishop Samuel Aquila of the Archdiocese of Denver saying in a statement, "I'm deeply saddened this evening to hear of the attack in Boulder, especially as it seems our Jewish brothers and sisters were targeted. This type of violence must come to an end as it only fuels hatred. Please join me in praying for everyone affected by this horrific attack. We ask the Lord to bring comfort, healing, and peace in the face of such hatred." The Diocese of Brooklyn is dedicated to fighting all forms of hate. A few weeks ago, 10 schools across Brooklyn and Queens got a lesson about speaking up against injustice when they spoke to international best-selling and award-winning novelist Lisa Weamer. Her book, The Assignment, is based on a real-life event where students refused to take part in a debate about Hitler's final solution. Lisa says she was impressed by her experience with the Catholic students.
I'm so grateful that the diocese recognizes that Holocaust education is such an important part of learning for our students, and to go in and to listen to their questions which really were, so inspiring. I really was overwhelmed in the very best ways by how bright and insightful and meaningful their questions were. I'll never forget it.
You can buy Lisa's book, again called The Assignment, on Amazon. Brooklyn Bishop Robert Brennan is also speaking out against a New York State bill that would pave the way for assisted suicide. The so-called Medical Aid in Dying Act would allow mentally competent, terminally ill patients over 18 to self-administer doctor-prescribed life-ending medication. The act passed the Assembly and could be put up for a vote in the Senate this week. In a message on Twitter, Bishop Brennan talked about the dangers of the bill.
This legislation is wrong on so many levels. To quote the late Pope Francis, who showed the world how to live and die with hope, euthanasia and assisted suicide are a defeat for all. We are called never to abandon those who are suffering, never to give up, but caring and loving to restore hope. Supporters are trying to tell you that this is death with dignity, but life is inherently valuable regardless of conditional prognosis. And we have the capability to offer real dignity through palliative and hospice care, providing all medical, emotional, and spiritual care.
Bishop Brennan went on to talk about how this legislation is a slippery slope for vulnerable communities. To make your opposition to this act heard at the New York State Catholic Conference website, just go to nyscatholic.org and go to the Action Center. There you can learn more about this bill and send a pre-written message to lawmakers. The National Eucharistic Revival is still going strong as dozens of faithful are now traveling along the 2025 pilgrimage. Over the weekend, pilgrims made their way from Kansas through Oklahoma, where they stopped in the Archdiocese of Oklahoma City. There, hundreds of people of all ages and walks of life took part in a nearly 2-mile Eucharistic pilgrimage that was filled with prayer and song. Archbishop Paul Coakley led the faithful, carrying the monstrance as clergy and laity bear witness to Christ's real presence in the Eucharist. There are 10 more stops along the national route, which began with a Mass of Thanksgiving in Indianapolis on May 18th. The faithful are traveling across 10 states of the mid and southwest regions of the U.S., trekking over 3,000 miles before reaching their final destination in California on June 22nd. Throughout the journey, pilgrims will travel with the Blessed Sacrament, stopping at different parishes for Mass, Eucharistic processions, witness talks, and fellowship meals. To learn more about the pilgrimage and keep up to date on the new route, just go to eucharisticpilgrimage.org. Also over the weekend, Pope Leo XIV closed out the Jubilee of Families, children, grandparents, and the elderly. During the Sunday Mass in St. Peter's Square, the Holy Father called families the cradle of humanity's future, highlighting the special role of each member in passing on faith from generation to generation. He also gave family members a task, urging children to honor their parents and thank them for the gift of life. The Diocese of Brooklyn also celebrated the Jubilee of Families this weekend by honoring the elderly at a Queens Village nursing home. Bishop Brennan celebrated Mass at the Queen of Peace residence on Saturday and praised seniors as the generation that continues to pass on the gift of faith and preserves family memories. During his homily, he thanked the Little Sisters of the Poor, the religious order that runs the home, for seeing the value of the older generation and treating them with respect. A Queens Catholic is honoring Pope Francis's legacy by making a pilgrimage on wheels across Poland. Victor Mooney flew to Warsaw with his bike last week to make a 620-mile trek to multiple historic sites, including concentration camps, in a show against anti-Semitism. Victor was inspired by Pope Francis's visit to Krakow in 2016 when the late pontiff visited Auschwitz. From Poland, Victor will hop on another flight to Rome, where he'll pay tribute to Pope Francis at his tomb in the Papal Basilica of St. Mary Major. A Queens school brought Disney magic to life with its annual spring concert. So cute. Students at St. Andrew Avellino Catholic Academy lit up the stage for their Disney Delight Spring Concert. The kids performing classics like Mary Poppins' Let's Go Fly a Kite and the Jungle Book's The Bare Necessities, and some newer favorites like For the First Time in Forever from the movie Frozen. Gotta love it. Finally tonight, a nun who has been delivering the word of God to countless faithful on the radio for more than half a century has retired. Sister Camille D'Arienzo has been a steadfast voice for listeners of 1010 Wins News every Sunday since 1973. During her last broadcast, she offered this blessing to those who have heard her words for the last 52 years.
As I bid you farewell, I ask God to bless each of you and to forever hold you in the palm of his hand.
Congrats to her. She will be missed on the radio. And that is this Currents News Update. I'm Christine Persichetti. Thank you for joining us because we are putting your faith in the news. Hope to see you again next time.